All right, welcome back to Tabletop Titans. We're doing a book review today. I have the brand new Custodes book. Look at that cover. It's different cover art. This looks like a Game Boy game to me. But I'm excited to be covering this. I know a lot of people have different opinions about this codex, but I think we should just dive right into it. I'm going to go over everything that's in the book, all the changes, things that got up, things that got down, things that are just different. And we'll see my hot takes on things. I know you guys love to hear those. I'm going to cut straight into it with the army rule here. The army rule did change. So karate, you know how you like pay to get a belt in those Midwest dojos. The kids had to do too many katas, and they were forgetting them. And the parents complained, so now we cut a kata, and you get a black belt with 2 katas now. So we just have Decatarai and Rendax. We lost the -1 to hit kata, so you can get sustained, or you can get lethal. What also changed is you can pick out units, and you can say this unit, they're going to get lethal, that other unit, they're going to get sustained. And that's a cool, like, marginal benefit. I would have liked to keep the -1 to hit, but it is nice to be able to choose unit by unit. After that, we get into the detachments. This is the Talons of the Emperor detachment. This one was the debut. This is what they showed on Warhammer Community. And this is the 2 types of Custodes units working together. This is the Custodes and the Sisters. When Custodes are near Sisters, the Sisters get better. When the Sisters are near Custodes, the Custodes get better. I've seen a lot of people kind of doomsaying about we lost our protection to dev wounds. Well, I imagine because there was an FAQ that caused all the dev wounds to be changed, and there was an FAQ that caused our previous ability to be changed based on dev wounds, that some of these things that give you Feel No Pains against mortals might, at some point in the future, also give you Feel No Pain against dev wounds. There's a lot of that in this book. I don't know how much of it would be changed. I think an FAQ that comes in the next 1 week to 2 months, who knows, could change a lot about this book, to be honest. So I think all those people who are saying shelve your army, just calm down. Just wait. See what happens. But here's the detachment ability. Custodes within 6 of Sisters have a 5-up Feel No Pain against psychic attacks and mortals. And Sisters within 6 of Custodes get +1 to hit. The +1 to hit on Sisters is not really going to change much. But the Feel No Pain, if it does work against dev wounds, is going to be important. And I think the way that this will function in games is you will take Sisters and Rhinos and just kind of follow around your Custodes units. If they pop the Rhino, the Sisters just get out. They're not really incentivized to kill a Rhino because they don't care about the Sisters inside, and they're still not getting rid of your buff. So I think this could be fine. And then these enhancements are actually pretty cool. Radiant Mantle was always -1 to hit, but when characters were alone, that didn't matter. Like -1 to hit on a character was such a small change because they were either committing a lot to kill your character or they just weren't trying. But now Radiant Mantle gives the whole unit -1 to hit. That's big. That's a big change. So I actually like Radiant Mantle now. Gift of Turn Artifice is +1 to wound for the bearer in combat. That's fine. I might pay like 10 points for that. Champion of the Imperium. It increases your aura from the army ability to 9 inches. I don't see this one mattering. That's like convenient, but not worth points. And then Aegis Protector. This is very saucy. Once per turn, when you fail your first saving throw for the unit, damage characteristic goes to 0. So there is play around this. They can just shoot you with a lot of small fire to pop this. But if you put this on like a Terminator captain, Terminators are T7 2-up save. Like, it's going to take a lot of small arms to pop the Aegis Projector. And then their small arms wasn't going into your Sisters. Like, how much are they actually committing to get this? I like Aegis Projector. I think it's actually a pretty good enhancement. And the stratagems in this detachment are also pretty good. Worth noting, we have fallback, shoot, and charge. Most of these stratagems in this Talons detachment care about you having a Custodes unit and a Sisters unit next to each other. All the strats work on their own. You can just pick a unit and they do a thing. But if you have one unit of each type next to each other, you can use the strat on both. So you can fallback, shoot, and charge with a Custodes unit, and if there's a Sisters unit nearby, they can also do that, I guess. But yeah, fallback, shoot, and charge for 1 CP is great. +1 strength and AP on shooting is really great. This is a battle tactic, so it could be free with your shield captain. And so things that jump to mind for me here, this is a very powerful stratagem, is you can have Custodian Guard shooting Strength 5 AP2 2 damage bolters twice, and you can do that strat twice because you can make it free and then do it again. That's really good. You can also do this with Terminators. You can make their grenades Strength 5 AP2 in addition to their main weapon being Strength 5 AP2. So this is actually a really good strat. Talons interlocked, and then also, actually I think that's a funny name, Talons interlocked, because you can do it with one Talon. You don't need the other Talon. But anyway, Taloned Pincer is also an incredibly strong strat, and it's also a battle tactic, so you can make it free and do it twice. If your opponent moves within 9 inches of you, you can move 6. That's really good. Unlike most other armies, we'll probably be moving towards the enemy, but it's also nice to just get behind cover, position on objectives, whatever you need to do at the time. Free movement, never bad. Shield of Honor is cute. It lets you protect a sister squad. If they're shooting sisters that are near Custodes, you make them shoot the sister or the Custodes instead. And Empiric Severance bumps up your Feel No Pain from a 5 to a 4 against Psychic and Mortals. So again, if we see the Dev Wounds FAQ come through, we got the 4 up back. So we'll have to see. That's Talons of the Emperor. That's all that's really noteworthy there. Here is the Shield Host. When I first saw this detachment, I missed the once per battle, and I was like, this detachment's crazy. Their detachment rules once per battle, and you have to do it at the start of the battle round, which is really kind of cringy if you're going second, because you have no way of knowing what's going to happen at the start of your turn. Once per battle, you choose one of these 2 things. You get, each time Custodes model from your army makes a martial kata ability, they make a melee attack, you get crits on 5s, and you improve the AP of all your melee weapons by 1. So you could get sustained and lethal on 5s, cool. You can get AP2 axes or AP3 spears, great. If you can do this every turn, that would be amazing. You do it 1 turn, and you do it at the start of battle round, which is awkward. If you're going first, it's not that awkward because it's just the start of your turn, but half a games you're going second. So I don't know. Enhancements, you can get +1 strength and damage from the Hall of Armories. It's pretty good. That's one of the better enhancements that exists, I think, in the whole game. +1 strength and damage. You could have like a 4 damage axe. Real good. Castellan's Mark has always been a redeploy, and it still is a redeploy, and it's very good. Puts you back in strategic reserves. Auric Mantle, +2 wounds. This is fringe playable, I would say. It does something sometimes. If you have lone characters, which we'll get there, but I think you're going to be running lone characters in all of these detachments. If you have lone characters, this is a big change for them. And then the Panopti specs, you can get ignore cover for a unit. I mean, everything has cover in all of 10th edition, so this is kind of like +1 AP for your whole unit. Cool, yeah. I'd pay like 15 points for that. Arcane Genetic Alchemy. Another way to get a Feel No Pain of 4 against mortal wounds. For one CP. Look, it's a battle tactic. If this works against Dev Wounds after an FAQ, guys, calm down. It's going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. There's not even that many Dev Wounds in the game. But, yeah, I'm hoping. I'm hoping that the FAQs come through and they save us with things like this. Avenge the Fallen is the same. Archaeotech Munitions lets you get sustained or lethal in shooting. That's like, it's kind of cool. In general, I don't love this detachment. I think it's missing the mark. It's just a little short, as exhibited by the army rule or the detachment rule. It's just it's close, but not quite there in a lot of ways. This is a piece of Crusade rules that just snuck into this book, so I'm just gonna skip it. This is the purely Sisters detachment. It's not enough to make pure Sisters playable, in my opinion. I like that they're trying to do this, but I think sisters need more model support or rules or points changes if they want to do things like this and take up one of our 4 detachment slots. This just isn't enough. I think this would be a weak set of Crusade rules, to be honest. So I'm a little bummed to see it take up one of our 4 detachment slots. But moving right along, Auric Champions, the character detachment, this is actually one of my more favored detachments in the book. We have each turn in your command phase, you choose an enemy unit. Your character models, only your character models, not units that have characters in them, not units with the character keyword. Your character models get +1 to wound against that target. And then we do have a strat. If you kill the target, you can choose a new one. So this is like weird Oath of Moment. I don't know how much we really needed a ton of help wounding. We already had full wound rerolls in a lot of places, so at least it's not another stacking full wound reroll. That's cool. There are some really good enhancements in here. Veiled Blade is still here, +2 attacks, and triple your OC once per game. We have Inspirational Exemplar. I don't love. It gives you a 5-up leadership, and then you can unbattle shock a unit once per game. I don't think that comes up very often. We have Mortals on the Charge with Blade Imperator. We've seen instances of this before. I think it's weird they gave it a new name. And then Martial Philosopher, fallback shoot and charge for your unit all game is really good. And then once per battle, when you end, or when an enemy moves within 9, you can move 6. Again, this already existed and they renamed it, so a little strange there. Moving on to the stratagems for this detachment. There is some good stuff in here as well. Shoulder the Mantle. I'm going to jump straight to Shoulder the Mantle. 1 CP, end of your movement phase. A character that's not in a unit joins a unit that doesn't have a character. They have to be 2 inches horizontally and 5 inches vertically, close to each other. I think this is a very flavorful and cool strat. I think that this is going to get FAQ'd and nerfed almost immediately. This allows you to do essentially a 5-inch deep strike charge. You have to jump through a lot of hoops to get there, but your character who is alone is 5-ish, 5.5 inches away from an enemy unit. His buddy's deep strike right behind him, within 2 inches of him. His base is quite large, so that's how you bridge the gap of 5.5 to 9. And then they become 1 unit at the end of the movement phase, which is after you've already deep struck. And now that unit that just popped in behind him has a pretty close charge. It's not super plausible that you're going to end up in this scenario very often, but I will say with Blade Champions having advance and charge all the time, they're on their data sheet, they can still do that. It's not the hardest thing to make happen. You can just advance him to be that specific place, and then they deep strike behind him. So I don't know. I greatly doubt that this is how they intend this to work. I think they wanted this to be a character has his unit killed and then he joins another unit, which is cool. It's also not what this strat does. I think they could have designed a cool reactionary strat where when your unit dies, you join another unit if you're close enough, and then you're protecting your character in the opponent's turn. That would have been fun. This is powerful. You're going to do this in like every game. And then we have a bunch of other actually really strong strats. Not a single battle tactic, worth noting. The character detachment has all 6 epic deeds, which means none of these can be free as written. Yep. This is the detachment that will have the most shield captains that make your strats free, but none of these will be free. So you could CP reroll your charges for free. We have fight phase, reroll hits and wounds against monsters or vehicles, but only character models. A lot of these are just character models. Superhuman Reserves. This one, how do I want to say this? 2 CP, your Warlord only can do his once per battle ability a second time. That's so many command points for such a restrictive ability. Once per game and only 1 guy. I don't know what they were trying to do here. Like, Trajan can double his attacks twice, I guess. Like 12, Is that ever worth 2 CP? No, I don't know. I don't know what they were going for with this. This one kind of just hurts me. Emperor's Auspice is back, but it doesn't do what you think it does. It's a 4-up Philippine for a character model. Model, again, character model, not the unit. This is really good. And it's when he's targeted. So I think this detachment, I want to play some games with like 10 lone characters and just see what happens. Like, they're easy to hide and they hit pretty hard. Do they hit hard enough? I don't know. I want to see if like a bunch of lone characters can actually play the game in this detachment. And then coming back to the top here, Slayer of Champions. When you kill your target, you pick a target every turn. When you kill your target, you can get a new one for 1 CP, and if your original target was a character, you get a refund. It's cool. It's, you know, there's stuff going on in this book. I think a lot of the doomsaying is emotional. It's very easy to compare what was to what is and feel a way about that. But I think if you just look at what is in this book, I think there are ways to play. And I'm really hopeful that an FAQ fixes some of the glaring issues with this. Going to data sheets now, Trajan lost a lot. He lost his fight first on the Moment Shackle. We also, I'm sure you've caught on by now, we lost the fight first stratagem entirely. We lost the get back a model stratagem. I would not compare old Custodes to new Custodes. So Trajan does not have the ability to fight first anymore, and he doesn't ignore all modifiers. He just ignores modifiers to ballistic skill, weapon skill, and hit roll for his unit. That's a big nerf to the Trajan. He was a great answer to things like Catan. He was a great answer to everything, which is, I think, why a lot of people wanted to see him nerfed, but he was an integral and necessary part of how this army dealt with things like Catan, and that he no longer fills that role, but he does hit really hard. I mean, he's still strength 10, AP 2, 3 damage. Could be 12 attacks. Could be 12 attacks twice if you have deep enough pockets. I'm going to move on from Trajan. We're going to go over to the Shield Captain. They're showing the new Shield Captain model. I wish they didn't. Although he looks cool facing down this Great Unclean one. That's a cool shot. So his loadout is now legal, but a loadout that looks awfully similar to his is not legal. So you can have Pyrothite Spear and Shield. You cannot have Guardian Spear and Shield. Which is sad because I want that. That's the loadout I want. He has some changes. He used to give you 2 stances for his unit every turn and 3 stances 1 turn of the game. Now he gives you 2 stances 1 turn of the game because there are only 2. The kids couldn't remember all the katas and their parents complained. He still does stratagem refunds. Other than that, he's the same. He's just a guy who has a whole detachment about him. We have Shield Captain Terminator armor. This guy got a huge glow up. He has a new ability once per battle, start of any phase. He's going to reduce damage on himself to 1 for the whole phase. Think about that. Chew on it. Couple that with a 4-up Feel No Pain on him for the phase. Keep chewing. He also has free strats. I guess now, this is the first time we could talk about axes. Axes got buffed. At the start of 10th edition, axes were pretty clearly worse in every situation. They hit on 3s, so they were -1 to hit. They had 1 less attack, and they had 1 less AP. All of that in return for a little bit of strength that usually didn't matter, and +1 damage. Well, now they're back to hitting on 2s. They still have 1 less attack, they still have 1 less AP, but they hit on 2s. If you are in the right detachment, you can use a stratagem, if you are in the shield host, you can once per game give them that AP back, which is cool. You can make your axes AP 2, which is a big break point for most things in the game. Yeah, I haven't really like settled on where I feel between axes and spears now. I think it's an actual decision now. It's not obvious that either is correct. Jetbike Man lost his 6-inch consolidate. I don't see a ton of reasons to be playing jetbikes unless they get dramatically cheaper. All of our strats do work on them now. Our strats don't differentiate between infantry and mounted. So maybe there's something there, but he has sorry about that. He has it's the sweeping advance is the same, strategic mastery is the same. He just lost his 6-inch consolidate, which I don't know how much you were really using anyway. A Blade Champagnon, or Blade Wizard, my favorite man. He still rerolls charges, but no longer advances. And once per battle, he can advance and charge. So he lost a bit of his... A lot of the characters lost a bit of their extra something, their spice. They lost the garnish, if you will. Except that garnish was edible and delicious, and it kind of made the Codex really flavorful. He still hits the same. Valerian still gives -1 AP in melee, and he still sets a value to a 6 of a hit, wound, or save for himself, but he no longer does the reroll a hit, wound, or save every turn. I think he's fine. I think if you're in a detachment where you don't care about... If you're in a detachment that doesn't have battle tactics, then he's a strong consideration. But there's a lot of really good battle tactics in this book, broadly speaking. So shield captains, I think with their free strats, are going to be king. Particularly, I really like Alara shield captains on their run. I think spamming like 3 solo Alara shield captains, they're really tough. And there's a lot of enhancements that they wear well. +2, 9 wounds at 1 damage per... 9 wounds? They go up to 9 wounds at 1 damage per attack. That's a lot. That's a lot on a T7 2-up body. Sister characters got a bit better, but not enough for a whole detachment to be based around them. And I still think that in the Talons detachment, there are attacks to give you the buffs on Custodes. If you enjoy playing sisters, have at it. Like, they're fun, and they're cool models, and they're cool in the lore. I just don't think that they do on the table what you would want them to do in a game of Warhammer. Weirdly, some of the most powerful broken stuff in this book is still here. So Custodian Guard still reroll wounds with 1 all the time, and still reroll full wounds on objectives. They still shoot twice. It's very good. Very, very good. Wardens, still probably best unit, maybe in any book. They still have a 4-up feel no pain once per game, and they still have -1 to wound if your strength is higher than their toughness while they have a character. Still amazing. Axe is getting better on them. Also good. They're just great. Yep, still very, very good. Alaris did get changed. They used to uppy downy at once. So when you pick them up, you put them down. Now, when you pick them up, you put them in strategic reserves, which means you can't put them down turn 1. So take that. Probably weren't really supposed to be able to do that the whole time. And then they still have full rerolls against characters, monsters, and vehicles. Reroll to wound. Again, the axe buff. Both of these data sheets, the axe buff is compelling. It's worth trying. Play some games. You tell me. Let me know what you think. I'll be curious to see. I haven't run enough numbers to really let it sit deep in my soul yet. And I want axes to be good because I built a lot of Custodes with axes. Bikes are unchanged. They still do the mortal wound flyover thing. That if you've done this and it felt good, message me. You let me know. I want a video, like a heartfelt, enjoyed. I want to hear these stories of I flew over Mortarion and everybody dropped their Quicksilver execution. They all stabbed Mortarion in the eyes when they flew. I want to hear that story. Yeah. Contempt of Dread didn't change. Land Raider might be great. I like Land Raiders in Custodes. And I think a Land Raider getting you there while you're less durable is more compelling than ever. And then Sisters. I think this is probably the best, the most improved unit in the book after the Alaris captain, is the Sister Rhino, because you're going to be bringing it in the Talons of the Emperor detachment pretty frequently, and in it you're going to be putting prosecutors most likely. I've been hearing people talk about Witch Seekers. They like Witch Seekers with the +1 strength and AP strat. I think it's fine. It's okay. I think really you just want the +1 strength and AP on the Custodes, and anything else is bonus points. It's cherry on top. Because really, strength 5 AP 2 damage shots are Marine killers. That's a lot. And if you're getting full rerolls to wound because you're Custodian Guard and you're standing on an objective, you're picking up like a whole squad of Space Marines, which is not a joke. But yeah, the Sisters units changed slightly, but again, not enough to really make a difference. And then we're into Crusade rules. We're done. A little bit of Crusade rules bled over into detachments, but yeah, it's an interesting book. I really want to see it play out. I know people jump to conclusions very quickly, myself included. In the past, I have jumped to conclusions, and honestly, it frequently comes down to playstyle. Sometimes the best way to play Custodes is a way that you don't like, and they don't feel powerful to you because it doesn't sit right with how you want to play them. And that might be the case here. This might be a very powerful book, running a bunch of weird lone characters who are incredibly tough. They're hard to dig out. They're hard to get line of sight to. And they chop. And they chop and they chop and they chop. That's how I think this book might be best played right now. I'm curious to see what you guys think. So let me know in the comments. I'm curious to see how the FAQs turn out. I think a lot in this book needs to be clarified. And we'll be playing Custodes very shortly. This video should be coming out in the middle of the night for us. And then today we're playing a game, Custodes versus Orcs. So be sure to tune in and watch that premiere video and let me know what you think there. Hope you guys are sleeping well. Don't burn your armies. And we'll catch you next time on the tabletop. Bye!